Today is basically art class for drawing circles. Just kidding. We're still doing math and we're going to make equations. But you're going to see that we will get to do some drawing. We'll draw some circles and we'll shade. And anyway, you'll have pretty graphs at the end. So the common, or really the standard equation for a circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared, where h comma k is the center. Notice it's like minus those things, right? So the h comma k is the center and r is the radius. It's always squared in the equation. So we're going to try to find an equation for a circle that has a given center and a given radius. Let's suppose that the center is centered 0, -1, and then let's say that the radius is 1. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of write the standard equation for the circle, but I'm going to write it with sort of openings, right? So x minus whatever my h is squared plus y minus whatever my k is, I'm leaving it blank, squared, is equal to that blank r, right? I don't know what it is yet, squared. So then I'm just going to fill in what I know. I know that h is 0, k is -1. I'm going to put both of those in. And then I have r is equal to 1, so I'm going to put 1 inside that second squared. So then x minus 0 just becomes x, right? So it's just x squared. And then y minus 1 becomes y plus 1, and that's y plus 1 squared. And then 1 squared is just 1. So there we have the standard equation for the circle that had that center of 0, -1, and the radius of 1. So now we're going to find an equation for a center that is -5, 3, and a radius that is 1/6. So again, I set up my standard equation with the blanks, and I'm going to fill in what I know. I know that the h is -5, so I put that in, and the k is 3, so I put that in, and my radius is 1/6, so I'm going to put that inside that last squared. Okay, x minus -5 is just x plus 5 squared. Y minus 3 stays the same, and then 1/6 becomes 1/36 when I square it. And that is how I find a standard equation. It's quite easy. You're just plugging it into the formula. It's really helpful to kind of leave it blank like I did at first, and then just kind of plug in your numbers, and then, that way you'll have some of the sign flips happening. Anyway, we're going to find the center and the radius of this circle. Now, this isn't in the right form yet because I have to move this 81 to the other side so that I have it in the standard form of x squared plus y squared is equal to 81. And then I realized that there's nothing with the x and the y, right? But first I realized that r squared is equal to 81, which means that r should be 9, right? Because the square root of 81 is 9. And then there's nothing with the x and the y, so therefore the center is going to be 0, 0. And I'm actually finished there. Let's go ahead and take another example where we're looking for the center and the radius. This one's going to be a little bit more common. We're also going to graph this equation. Did I say common? I meant complicated. Anyway, so we have x squared plus y squared plus 10x minus 4y plus 20 is equal to 0. All right, so I realize that I have an x term and an x squared term, right? And I need to have this in kind of like a x plus 5 or something squared, right? So I actually need to complete this square 2 times, once with x and then once with y. Hence why I told you that you're going to need to be able to complete the square later on. So I'm going to bring the y squared to the other side, the 4y to the other side, and the 20 to the other side, so that all I have on the left side is the x's, because I'm going to complete the square with the x first, and I'm going to ignore everything else for now. Okay, so I'm just moving everything to the other side so I don't have to worry about it. So 2 alpha is going to be equal to 10, which means alpha is equal to 5, which means alpha squared is equal to 25. So I'm going to add 25 to both sides of my equation to complete the square with x. Okay, so now x is going to factor into x plus 5 squared, and this is equal to -y squared plus 4y, and that becomes plus 5 when I add -20 and positive 25. So then I'm going to do the same thing with the y's, right? So I'm bringing the y's back over, and you'll notice that I accidentally wrote x minus 5 there. It should be x plus 5 the whole time. I change it later, but anyway, x plus 5, so just bear with me. So then we have y squared minus 4y is equal to that negative x should be plus 5 squared plus 5, right? So I'm going to complete the square with a y. So 2 alpha is equal to -4, alpha is equal to -2, alpha squared is equal to 4. So I add 4 to both sides of my equation. When I add 4 to both sides of my equation, then I can now factor the left side with the y's into y minus 2, right? Y plus alpha squared. So then I've completed the square with a y, so I'm going to bring my x plus 5 back over, which again is still written as x minus 5. So sorry, but I changed it there and I forgot it one more time. Anyway, disaster. Okay, so then we have a y minus 2 squared, and that's equal to 9 when I add 5 and 4, right? After I completed the square with the y. So then my radius should be 3 and my center should be negative 5 comma 2, right? Because I always like flip it because it's x minus h. So if it's x plus 5, that means the center coordinate is actually negative 5, right? And then it's y minus 2, so then the center coordinate is 2. Hopefully that makes sense to you. So we're going to graph this on a coordinate plane. And when I have the center and the radius, that's all I need to graph a circle. It's kind of like taking a compass. All you need is to like put your pinpoint right on a center, and then you stretch it out to whatever radius you want, and then you just draw all the way around. That's all you need. So here we're going to plot the point negative 5 comma 2. That's our center. And then I'm going to go 3 away on the right, 3 away above, 3 away to the left, 3 away below, and then I'm going to finish drawing my circle. It's obviously not perfect, but it doesn't have to be perfect. So we are going to move on drawing another graph of a circle. This time we're going to have an inequality. The inequality is still going to have the same thing where we're going to have to complete the square twice, okay? And we'll talk about how do we deal with this inequality. So we have x squared plus y squared plus 4x minus 10y is less than 7. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to complete the square with x. So I want to move everything else besides the x squared and the 4x term. I want to move everything else to the other side, right? So I just am working with x squared plus 4x. So here 2 alpha is going to be equal to 4, alpha will be equal to 2, and alpha squared will be equal to 4, which is what I'm going to add to both sides to complete the square. And then x squared plus 4x plus 4 factors into x plus 2 squared. And then this is going to be equal to now 11, because I added 7 and 4, minus y squared plus 10y. Then I'm going to do the same thing with the y terms, y squared and negative 10y, right? Where 2 alpha is going to be equal to negative 10, then alpha will be equal to negative 5, and alpha squared will be equal to 25, right? So I'm going to add 25 to both sides, which when I add it to 11 becomes 36. And I've completed the square on the left, so that becomes y minus 5 squared is less than 36 minus x plus 2 squared, right? So then I bring the x plus 2 squared back, right? Bring it back, and then I have x plus 2 squared plus y minus 5 squared is less than 36. So the center of this circle is negative 2, I always flip the signs, negative 2 comma 5, and my radius is 6. And now I need to graph it. Now really quickly, this is a less than sign. So I'm going to draw a dotted line for the circle boundaries. If it were less than or equal to, I would draw a solid line. Okay, but I'm not going to draw a solid line here. I'm going to draw a dotted because it was just less than, not less than or equal to. So I'm going to graph this inequality on the same coordinate plane that I used before with that blue circle. So I'm just going to draw this in a different color, purple, so that you can distinguish it from the other circle. Now I know that the center of the circle is negative 2 comma 5, so I'll graph that first. And then I'm going to write that the radius is less than 6 because I don't actually want to draw a solid line for this circle because it's an inequality. I want to draw a dotted line. So I plot my center first, and then I'm going to plot the radius. So I just go up 6, to the left 6, to the right 6, etc. And once I do that, then I can connect everything with dotted lines because it's not less than or equal to, it's just less than. Once I do that, I'm going to shade on the inside because what I'm saying is here I'm going to graph all of the circles that are that have a radius that is less than 6 and are around that center. If it was greater than, I would shade outside because those would be all the circles that are bigger than this circle with a radius of 6. So shade outside if it's greater than, shade inside if it's less than. The last example we'll do is where we are going to figure out what the equation of the circle based on a couple pieces of information. Suppose we have the center, negative 2, 0, and it passes through the point 2, 0. So we're going to graph this in order to figure out what the center is, what the radius is. Well, I know what the center is, right? It's negative 2, 0, so I can put that directly into my equation, x minus negative 2 squared plus y minus 0 squared. But to figure out the radius, I'm just going to draw it to aid me. And I realize that the edge of the circle, that point that it's passing through 2, 0, and the center are 4 apart, which means the radius is 4. And I can plug that directly into my equation to get x plus 2 squared plus y squared is equal to 16. Good luck on your homework and have a great day.